right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to session 3 of Product University, our May June section or session, for lack of a better word. For those who do not know me, my name is Angie. I'm the Product Training and Development Manager, and I am so excited to take you all now through a more deep dive to the products themselves. If you remember the last couple of weeks, we were setting up the foundation for Remon, our product values, our heritage ingredients, and so today we are specifically connecting our ICD skincare to your skin physiology. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and let's get started. Alrighty, so yes, today's topic is skin physiology and Remon. In selecting personal care, whether it is your hair care, your body care, or of course your skin care, it's important to understand the scientific foundation you are applying these products onto. And so specifically today, we're going to explore more in depth the various layers of the skin, what is going on within those layers, and we're also going to extrapolate further on some common skin concerns and how specific ingredients can help remedy those concerns. So in somewhat of a summary, so to speak, this is your skin at a glance in a cartoonish depiction. So you have 3 layers of skin, and your skin is the body's largest organ. It not only works to regulate temperature and protect against irritant penetration, but it offers sensory perception. It also offers a bit of hydrophobicity, specifically with your epidermis, and it's crucial for you to come in contact with your daily life. And so with the specific schematic you see here, you do have indeed 3 distinct layers, and they each have some form of benefit and some platform for product application, except the hypodermis, which we'll talk about later. But of course, that top layer of skin is your epidermis. And for the most part, most of the topical products you are applying are going to have some activity within the epidermis, and that's good. That is typically what we need for aesthetic benefits. But we also have the dermis, that second layer of skin, and this is crucial for a variety of skin structure and skin hydration benefits, and we'll also explore why that is in more detail. And last but not least, that bottom layer is the hypodermis. And I want to mention that this cartoonish depiction is not accurate in regards to the volume of each of these layers of skin. They differ from individual to individual, but I've also seen certain depictions in which the hypodermis is the thinnest layer of the 3. But let's break down the epidermis first, that top layer of skin. So the epidermis, is a thin layer of outer skin, and it's comprised of keratinocytes and melanocytes. So keratinocytes are essentially there to structure and enforce barrier function of your skin. Your keratinocytes simplistically are your skin cells. So keratinocytes realistically is just the scientific fancy pants way of saying skin cells. Another key thing that I want to know is also your melanocytes. So your melanocytes are where you're producing melanin, and this gives you your skin color. But at the same time, your melanocytes can also be responsible for melanogenesis in the form of hyperpigmentation, the deposition of melanin in dark spots you otherwise do not want or do not contribute to your overall skin tone. And so in this depiction, you can see here, we actually have 7 sublayers within the epidermis, going all the way from the stratum basale to the stratum corneum. And when I often am asked in the ritual inbox of how long should I practice a specific ritual and to see if it works for me, if I should switch it up, I always say try out one full skin cell cycle. What I mean by that is a full skin cell cycle in which the bottom layer of your, of your keratinocytes, your freshly differentiated skin cells, can travel all the way to the top and eventually slough off. That is one full skin cell cycle. So essentially what occurs is your keratinocytes form right down here at the stratum basale. They're fresh, beautifully nucleated cells. And as they begin to travel up to the surface, they differentiate, they change shape, they begin to lose their nucleus, which is essentially that little center of molecules and kind of the brain of the skin cell, and eventually they slough off naturally, which is called desquamation. Now, this is typically 4 weeks for healthy skin types, but even if your skin is healthy but perhaps just matured, it might take a little bit longer, 5 weeks to upwards of 6 weeks. But with that in mind, in the differentiation pathway that you can see here, the keratinocytes at the bottom are also closely associated with those melanocytes. So this is where those melanocytes are located. This is where we are producing melanin for our skin pigment and ultimately for hyperpigmentation if you do suffer with dark spots. On this entire graphic, what's most important to note, other than knowing where the melanocytes are, is the very top layer of the epidermis, which is the stratum corneum. Your stratum corneum is your skin barrier. This is crucial for so many different things. This is what gives your skin some hydrophobicity. This is what prevents irritant penetration, but it's also what maintains skin hydration by preventing evaporation of water from lower layers of the skin outwards. And so in your skin barrier or in your stratum corneum, you specifically display what's called a brick and mortar structure. And so this brick and mortar, if you think of the skin cells as tightly packed bricks, the mortar surrounding them, keeping them packed together, is a lipid or oil soluble environment. So essentially it's things like ceramides and various other hydrating ingredients that maintain that hydrophobicity, maintain that compact packing of those skin cells so that your skin barrier can naturally be protected. And so I want you to note this because we're going to address it a bit later when we address skin concerns, because a variety of different skin concerns come from having a compromised barrier in which your skin cells are either not properly hydrated, so they're shriveled, or you're losing some lipid content and thusly they're not tightly packed together. There are gaps through which irritants can penetrate or water can evaporate. Now, beyond the epidermis, and important furthermore in skincare, is the dermis itself. So the dermis is the middle layer of skin, and it contains a variety of important functions and important entities for lack of a better word. So we have blood vessels, lymph vessels, hair follicles also begin within the dermis, although it is considered to be part of the epidermis with the hair follicle because the epidermis actually folds into the hair follicle, but we'll address that next week. But you also importantly have collagen bundles and your fibroblasts, which are actually the cell types that create collagen and elastin. And then lastly, you have your nerves and your sebaceous glands. So when we look at this dermis in more detail, you can even see things such as the sebaceous gland that is providing oil to your hair follicle that gives the hair follicle the ability to protrude out of the hair safely. If you have a sebaceous blockage, you might get a plugged follicle and thusly have an ingrown hair. Again, we will explore it next week. I'm getting ahead of myself. But the dermis is extremely important, not only because of all these various constituents, but because it contains the extracellular matrix. Now, what is the extracellular matrix, you may ask? The ECM, or extracellular matrix, is a network of macromolecules and minerals that provide structural support to the surrounding cells. So here we have again a cartoon depiction of the extracellular matrix, but essentially believe it to be within this area that is not otherwise occupied by sweat glands or sebaceous glands or your nerves, etc. It's all of this open environment, extracellular, that maintains the structural integrity of your skin. Specifically, the ECM contains collagen, elastin, hyaluronic acid, and your fibroblasts again. And this is an important thing to look at, specifically in the performance of anti-aging. Naturally, as we age, we do lose some collagen and elastin content. And so what that appears like is something like this. When you lose those structural proteins, you of course lose that volume that is beneath the epidermis and beneath even the epidermal dermal junction, which is the place at which the epidermis and dermis meet. All of this later leads to sagging or to fine line and wrinkle formation. And so oftentimes when you are looking towards supporting the ECM or the extracellular matrix, that can come not only in supporting your fibroblasts and their production of collagen and elastin, but it can even be in your maintenance of hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is one of those hot topic ingredients. It is well used throughout the Remon product offerings, but it is naturally produced by our bodies, and it binds to these collagen and to this elastin to maintain the volume of your dermis and thusly to maintain that more youthful appearance. If you remember from the very beginning in the creation of ICD, while we want to attack a variety of skin aesthetic concerns, one of the easiest things we can address is hydration because it realistically gives so many further aesthetic benefits such as plumpness, such as radiance, and of course a reinforcement of your skin's structural integrity. All right, and then last but not least, that third layer of skin is the hypodermis. This is the fatty layer of cells. And so it cushions your muscles and bones, and it also supports those nerves and blood vessels that we saw in the dermis, excuse me. That being said, skincare products do not and should not reach the hypodermis. That's a moment at which something can become systemic or enter the bloodstream. So traditionally, anything that would somehow reach the hypodermis is typically a medical product or a drug of some kind. So in addressing your skincare, especially with Remon, we are really focusing on that top layer of skin, the skin barrier, the epidermis, and perhaps the dermis as well. With this all in mind, I always like to identify what I like to think of as a fourth layer of skin. And that, of course, is your skin microbiome. So, your microbiome is actually what I like to think of as that extra layer, but it is essentially a grouping of bacteria that naturally exists on our skin since birth. So, the skin microbiome begins to develop depending on your delivery method, and I won't go into more detail, but it'll cultivate as you age and as you interact with your environment. It's essentially comprised of a million different bacteria, or not a million, millions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses that actually protect your skin and to have benefit. They can provide hydration, they can provide innate health to your skin, but not only do they maintain that protection against invading pathogens specifically, they directly communicate with your immune system, which is important in reducing the chances of inflammatory damage. If your skin prevents unfavorable conditions, say, for example, based on your daily environmental exposures or your diet, or even smoking, you can unbalance your microbiome. And this can lead to specific skin issues because of this dysbiosis, because of this imbalance. On the opposite end, certain skin issues can promote the growth of pathogenic or deleterious bacterial species, which will continue to keep your skin in that damaged state. So in the identification and the establishment of the microbiome as another layer of the skin, you are giving yourself another platform through which you have agency to treat your skin, to maintain health at every layer. And so, with that all in mind, the last thing I want to differentiate is, of course, your facial skin versus your body skin. So, your facial skin and your body skin are a bit different. Your facial skin, excuse me, has only roughly 4 to 8 layers within the epidermis specifically. So, if you remember, we saw the stratum basale all the way to the stratum corneum, versus your body skin containing upwards of 17 different layers. And of course, this varies depending on gender, age, and again, environmental exposures, even intrinsic factors. But with that in mind, that's going to be a much thicker layer of the epidermis. And because of that, it actually takes longer for the skin cell cycle and specifically for that top layer of skin to slough off your body versus your facial skin. So it takes roughly 2 weeks for your body skin to do so versus just 1 week for that final layer to slough off on your facial skin. Furthermore, your body skin has larger oil glands and pores, and that's why certain acne-prone individuals may too experience body acne because of these larger oil glands and the potential to block these glands. So this is all something I want to differentiate because again, when we approach your skincare, we are so often focused on just that, just your facial skincare. But your body skin does need that extra attention too, which of course goes along the Swammel body care products. But with that in mind, as I had mentioned, we'll now address some common skin issues or concerns. And so one of the most common things I see, and it's something that can easily be introduced to the skin, something you may do on accident due to over cleansing or using the wrong product type, is disrupted barrier or disrupting your skin barrier. And so there's a couple of different ways in which your barrier can be considered disrupted, as I had mentioned. You either are lacking water and your skin cells are beginning to shrivel, which allows for gaps to form within your skin barrier, or you're lacking your lipid or oil content. And again, that's that mortar that is packing those bricks of skin cells together. And so you again have gaps through which irritants can penetrate and water can evaporate. And so within the disrupted barrier skin concern, I also included dryness and dehydration. They can be entirely separate in their root cause, but there are many different ingredients that can address multiple different prongs of these skin concerns. I want to differentiate between dryness and dehydration because so often we say we have dry skin, and that specifically reflects a lack of oil or of moisture content. But when you say your skin is dehydrated, that's when you say you're lacking water. What's difficult is it's hard to differentiate between the two, whether your skin is lacking water or whether it is lacking oil. But again, there are many ingredients that can address all three of these skin concerns, which we'll go into more detail on the next couple of slides. Of course, another readily talked about skin concern are fine lines and wrinkles. And so, as we had mentioned within the analysis of the extracellular matrix and within the dermis, your skin may be lacking those structural proteins such as collagen or elastin, or perhaps your fibroblasts, those cell types that are creating the collagen and elastin, are not fully functioning and producing what you need for that structural support. Even again, a lack of water, specifically hyaluronic acid, reduces the potential for these collagen and elastin strands to bind to these natural moisturizing factors to add volume to the skin. All of this leads into a decrease of structural support and a visible formation of fine lines and wrinkles on the skin, and furthermore, of even sagging as well. And then last but not least, one of the common skin issues terms I wanted to point out, of course, is oxidation. This is crucial. Many different skin concerns come from the formation of reactive oxygen species in the skin. Now, oxidation can be caused by a variety of different environmental exposures and even daily habits, such as your diet or such as drinking or smoking. But with oxidation specifically, we're looking towards the overexposure to either UV rays or to pollution. And what it does is it creates what are called reactive oxygen species within your skin. These reactive oxygen species are lacking electrons, and so they'll try and steal electrons from neighboring, otherwise stable molecules, rendering them unstable. This, in the more grand scheme of things, can cause a variety of different skin concerns. It can not only turn on specific mechanisms within your skin that break down collagen and elastin that you otherwise needed and were using, but it can actually permanently trigger inflammation and redness. It can also permanently trigger your melanogenesis pathway to produce hyperpigmentation or dark spots. And lastly, it can reduce the presence of hyaluronic acid or other moisturizing glycosaminoglycans, which of course leads to permanent skin dryness. So in our desire to really provide a more holistic approach to skincare, but one in which you don't have to think, you don't have to marry a bunch of different ingredients in a bunch of different products. Antioxidation and hydration are some of the most important benefits you can have within a product. And I also want to mention here that, of course, there are a variety of other skin concerns. There is acne, there is a variety of medical dermatoses as well. But because we are a cosmeceutical grade brand, I always, in good faith, suggest that someone speak to a practicing professional to find confidence in use or confidence in a specific product for their certain skin needs. All right, so with all of that in mind, in identifying these common skin issues, how can Remon come in to help? Now, with Remon, as you may have well known, we have our established tenets of K-beauty, of cleansing, hydrating, and protection, simplifying your approach to your own skincare routine, but assuring it is well-rounded at the same time. So with Cleanse, we are removing surface impurities and dead skin cells to lessen the chances of common skin issues occurring, but also to prepare the skin for future application of topical products to enhance the absorption of those products. Hydrate, of course, we also kind of categorize moisturize in that same category, but it's just reinforcing the health and general function of both your dermal and epidermal layers. And this is going to not only be reinforcing the skin barrier, but maintaining the tightly packed organization of your extracellular matrix as well. And of course, protect really comes in tie when we talked about oxidation as a skin concern, limiting the effects of external aggressors such as UV rays or pollution by reinforcing not only your skin's innate barrier, but also introducing a protective film, such as with a product like sunscreen, specifically our Aqua Protection sunscreen. So in the establishment of these various different tenets, there are a multitude of different ingredients to choose from that satisfy these tenets, but also create a robust formulation in which you can include multiple different ingredients in just one formula and have that complete skin protection or skin hydration, whatever it may be. And so when we finally analyze skin and Remon and the specific skin concern of restoring your skin barrier, this not only is reinforced by providing lipids and oils to fill in those gaps within your brick and mortar structure, but it's also ensuring the limitation of irritant penetration, of water evaporation. It's ensuring proper hydration within the lower layers of your skin. So in restoring your skin barrier, and some of the ingredients that you can note are our Giant Bianco 3 solution, our eco ceramides or ceramide NP, even natural oils such as jojoba or camellia seed oil. And so, specifically in the analysis of these ingredients, and I want to reiterate actually that as we go through these various skin concerns and some ingredients that may assist in them, this is not a finite list. There are so many other ingredients in these products that are so beautiful for the skin that just didn't make it onto the specific presentation. But with the specific Giant Byungpo 3 solution, as you may remember, this is in our dermatology booster, the serum, and the dermatology cream. This is not only our Giant Byungpo leaf extract, which not only soothes the barrier, but also can reinforce it, but it also is amino acids from our Giant Byungpo and exosomes, which themselves have a phospholipid bilayer that can reinforce the lipid nature of your skin barrier. Ecoceramides and ceramide NP, these are both industry standards. If you'll remember, ceramides are one of the many lipid components that make up your skin barrier. And so this just mimics their molecular structure to reinforce your skin barrier. Of course, natural oils, they're going to have some effect within the skin barrier in maintaining hydration and moisturization. And then even Filerstin, which is specifically a patented complex inside the dermatology serum. This is a microbiome-based approach to your skin barrier health in which you're maintaining the proper balance of beneficial bacteria on the surface layer of your skin to again inhibit irritant penetration, which is the core function of your skin barrier. All right. And so the second things we also had in that slide were enforcing hydration of the skin throughout all dermal layers. And there are so many different ingredients within the personal care industry that can hydrate the skin. Byungpo leaf water, the Byungpo 3 solution, but even humectants. Now, humectants are specifically structures that bind to and attract water to the skin, but also that organize water throughout the layers of the skin. Humectants include diols, glycols, hyaluronic acid is a humectant, glycerin as well. And I always like to point out these humectants because they are so well performing for being such basic ingredients. And we furthermore have damask rose water. That's in our calming balance gel. That specifically contains minerals and phytonutrients from the damask rose, which can encourage hydration maintenance within the skin. Hyalu Collagen 3 is specifically within all Swamel body care products. This is a complex of hyaluronic acid and collagen, which together actually can bind and attract up to 1,000 times its weight in atmospheric water to the skin. And then lastly, again, in the dermatology booster, serum, and the dermatology cream, we have NMN, or nicotinamide mononucleotide. This is a very popular ingredient, a very new ingredient. It's a precursor to NAD+, which itself is I believe it's an energy molecule within the skin that we lose as we age. Specifically, we lose the recycling process of NAD+. And so NMN has been proven both by the American Academy of Dermatology and by Procter & Gamble to bring in skin hydration. All right, let's continue on in our analysis. So for that concern of reducing hyperpigmentation and overall brightening of the skin, this comes in part with oxidation. So realistically, oxidation can cause a variety of concerns as I had listed, but one of the greatest causes, specifically with UV overexposure, is hyperpigmentation formation. To address it, there are a variety of different ingredients, but with Remon, there are a variety of patented ingredients you can only get with us. One of those, of course, is the Vita Complex. This is contained in all three products of the Radiance 100 line, and it boasts a 5-vitamin blend. Not only does it have vitamin C, but it has vitamin B3, B5, vitamin P, and vitamin E as well, or tocopherol. Furthermore, we have niacinamide. Again, I believe that's vitamin B3, and that's continued throughout a variety of products, the dermatology products, even the two-phase oil mist and the multi-stick balm. In the Radiance products, we also have RK Snowflake, so that's going to be specifically a natural plant extract with antioxidant properties. We have sea berry water in both the multi-stick balm and the two-phase oil mist, which is rich in vitamin C and vitamin E. Again, we have the NMN, which again was proven to reduce hyperpigmentation. And in the dermatology cream, we have newly added ergothioneine and carnosine, and these are both potent antioxidants. One I did not list it here, which was a huge miss, is Giant Byungpo. Giant Byungpo specifically has an 81% increase in antioxidant protection in comparison to standard Byungpo extracts. So robust in its performance against oxidation and ultimately against the formation of hyperpigmentation and otherwise brightening activities. All right, and then of course replenishing the ECM, and this is in connection to the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles, the appearance of sagging as well. There are many different ingredients you can utilize to replenish your ECM. Of course, when you look towards supplementing with collagen, traditionally your skin's not going to uptake collagen and then instill it into your skin and it becomes a structural protein. Typically, when you have collagen in a product or something like collagen 100 sheet, it's really going to hydrate the skin or otherwise promote amino acid synthesis. So it's going to provide your skin with the necessary amino acids to otherwise synthesize proteins on its own. So some of the ingredients included specifically for replenishing the ECM are things like collagenere, which again is in the Radiant 100 complex, and that is comprised of another natural extract that is going to reinforce the structural integrity of your skin while also actually maintaining antioxidant care. We also have acetyl hexapeptide 8, palmitoyl pentapeptide 4. This is continued both ingredients throughout the booster, the serum, and the dermatology cream. Peptides are beautiful as anti-aging ingredients, but they again are amino acid chains that provide your skin with the necessary activities for not only protein synthesis, but for antioxidant maintenance. It all depends on the specific amino acid sequence within each peptide. Collagen itself, as I had just mentioned, so something like the dermatology cream has collagen, the collagen 100 melting sheet, even the beauty collagen EX ampule. This is all going to reinforce the hydration and moisturization of the dermis specifically, which is necessary for the collagen and elastin you already have to bind to maintain structural integrity. And then yet again, NMN. NMN has shown efficacy in reducing the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles as well. And what's important in all of this analysis, besides the fact that I haven't listed all of the ingredients that do perform within our products, is that there's an even mix of both the Radiant 100 products and the dermatology products in each category of addressing aesthetic concerns. And so if you are someone that perhaps has sensitive skin, but you're wanting these otherwise anti-aging claims that the Radiance 100 line typically boasts, just know you can still get them with the dermatology line as well. This is something we'll address in more detail for session 6 when we do dermatology line versus Radiance 100. On that topic, though, before we finish up, I did want to point out enhancing absorption. We're talking about your skin physiology, we're talking about getting these ingredients into your skin. How can we ensure that they're not only properly absorbed, but they're reaching their targeted areas for genuine efficacy? Oftentimes, that is through the employment of liposomes or of exosomes. And good thing is we have both within our product offerings. If you remember, liposomes are specifically within our Radiance 100 line, and they're specifically nanoliposomes. Liposomes are traditionally synthesized, and in our case, it is done so via a microfluidizer processor. Exosomes, on the other hand, are naturally existing vesicles or vehicles in plant and mammalian cells, and we specifically source our exosomes from our giant Centella asiatica. As such, we've affectionately named them as incelsomes. With all of this in mind, the liposomes specifically were actually initially created for the pharmaceutical industry as a mechanism of enhancing the absorption of topical medications, and of course was later adopted by the cosmetic industry for that same reason. Exosomes, on the other hand, as they are naturally occurring, their main purpose is to facilitate cell-to-cell communication. Specifically in skincare, exosomes can help transfer growth factors, proteins, and other bioactive molecules from cell to cell or from formula to cell. And this not only helps deposit the ingredients you have purposely included in your formulation, but the exosomes themselves can benefit your skin barrier because of the phospholipid environment. So in the molecular structures you'll see here, both of them are very similar. They both have those phospholipids creating a nonpolar and polar distinctive environment. And this allows for the entrapment of ingredients that maintain ingredient stability as it travels through the skin. And so some of the benefits of application of both liposomes and of exosomes are not only enhanced formula stability, but enhanced physiological durability. And so that's what I just mentioned, maintaining an ingredient in its intended molecular shape or otherwise molecular connections so that it can reach a targeted site intact. targeted efficacy, and enhanced protection of active ingredients as well. And again, we'll go through this probably again in session 6 against radiantsum versus dermatology, but specifically with the employment of exosomes in the dermatology products, in the booster, the serum, and the cream, you can see here how many there are per bottle. 1.3 billion exosomes per bottle of booster, 450 million per bottle of serum, and 500 million per jar of cream, so to speak. And of course, with Radiantsum 100, that 100 stands for 100% nanoliposomal. Every single ingredient is otherwise nanoliposomally encapsulated. All right. Because it was such a chunky discussion today, I did want to do a quick recap of the main important things we went over. And so, as we had established, your skin has 3 layers. Your skin is also your body's largest organ. Those 3 layers include the epidermis or surface-most layer, your dermis, and the hypodermis. Specifically within your epidermis, your skin barrier exists, which displays a brick and mortar structure. This not only inhibits irritant penetration, but water evaporation from the lower layers of the skin. Your dermis, in respect to skincare performance, houses your extracellular matrix or ECM. This has your collagen, your elastin, moisturizing factors like hyaluronic acid, and these are all key players, key proteins and molecules that can be diminished as you age, which influences the appearance of fine lines and wrinkles. Furthermore, your surface of your skin hosts an additional layer, the microbiome. This is composed of both resident and transient flora that maintain your skin's health, but also assist in your skin barrier's function as a protector against irritant penetration. So with your skincare choices, sometimes choosing something that's microbiome balancing can be equally beneficial for your skin barrier fortification. We also identified common skin issues through which Remon products can speak to and address, and that includes disrupted barrier, in which you're either lacking the necessary lipids to pack that barrier together, or you're lacking the necessary water to keep your skin cells somewhat plump, and this causes gaps within that environment. Dryness, your skin is simply lacking oil content. Dehydration, it is lacking water. Fine lines, wrinkles, and sagging, there is some lack of structural integrity, specifically within the dermis. And then, of course, we also touched on oxidation. So the presence of reactive oxygen species that may cause all of these concerns: dryness, fine lines and wrinkles, permanent inflammation or redness, and then even the breakdown of collagen and elastin. And so in the design of Remon products and specifically ICD skincare, we centralized many of our different product types and product offerings around very basic tenets of K-beauty: cleansing, hydrating, and protecting. While basic in their performances, they're fundamental for genuine skin health and for a variety of different aesthetic benefits as well. And so throughout the Remon skincare products, proprietary ingredients like giant byung pool, botanical extracts, patented complexes, and a lot of formulation superstars or industry standards that we are proud to boast in our formulas all come together to create robust formulations that truly ensure not only innate skin health, but complete radiance of the skin as well. And so with that note, we have finished today's topic on skin physiology and Remon. Of course, we always have it outlined. This one is especially useful if you are wanting to recall the various layers and the various different molecular structures. So feel free to scan here. We're also dropping the URL, in the chat, and I'll wait just a little bit longer in case you want to scan this with your phone. Oops. I didn't wait too long, sorry. Okay, 5 more seconds and we'll keep going. All right, and reminder as well that this outline and even the QR code here takes you directly to the drive. So if for some reason you're unable to click on the link or unable to get this QR code to actuate, you actually can still pull it up on the drive as well. All right. And so next week's topic, as I kept alluding to, because I love to get ahead of myself, is the hair physiology in Remon. So your scalp itself has 3 layers of skin as well. We won't go into them all in depth again, but we'll look at the follicular structure, the living and dead part of your hair, and how the Deserticola hair care products are addressing total hair health from the scalp to the tip of your strands. And I also want to mention yet again that Q&A session for session 7, which is on June 18th, again at 6 p.m. PET. Would love if you would send in your questions into the ritual@remon.com inbox titled something along the lines of Q&A or Product University, just so I don't answer your question right off the bat. And I also just saw a question if these videos will be posted. So typically we post them after the 8th session, just to respect those of you who have attended all 8 sessions. But we also do have the previous recordings from the last 2 product universities currently live on the drive as well. All right. And on that note, that is all for today on skin physiology. I am so grateful for you all for attending. I saw someone say hi from Japan, so thank you so much for being here. I am so excited to talk more in depth about the really scientific side of these products, how we approach formulation by understanding skin physiology, hair physiology. So on that note, I do hope that this helped you in your selection of products and in your understanding of what they're doing to your skin. And on that, I will see you next Wednesday. Have a good one.